Welcome into another edition of The Rundown, your home for CSAA Sports. Today, we are tying a bow on this winter season. Brandon Ward, Jack Heckman with you here on YouTube as well as on 107.7 FM. You can tune in on the weekends for a live recording of this broadcast as well. Jack, it's official. Finally, we're into spring sports. Mother Nature's not quite ready to move on yet. But of course, teams training in for what should be a great spring campaign following a well-anticipated spring break coming up this next week.
Yeah, most definitely can't wait for spring break, but it's going to be an exciting spring season coming up. But we had an amazing winter sports season, phenomenal teams to look around. Everybody had a great season, so many phenomenal athletes in the conference.
Absolutely. The goal of today's episode, we're going to highlight all of those individuals as well as the conference team placements for all of our winter sports, which includes basketball, bowling, wrestling, and competitive cheer. So we'll break that all down for you here, as well as some notable things about this year's all-conference selections. But before we get started, big thanks to our friends at Denny's Muffler and Brakes. If you need general auto repair in Big Rapids, you can stop on State Street, call an appointment today, 796-6335 for general auto repair, mufflers, brakes, oil change, so much more. Big thanks to Denny's Muffler and Brakes, and big thanks to Eagle Village. They are looking to hire new individuals right now. If you are feeling led to help the next generation of youth, contact Eagle Village by going online, eaglevillage.org/careers. Big thanks to Eagle Village for sponsoring the rundown. All right, Jack, let's get right into it. We'll start with the sport we obviously cover the most. That would be boys and girls basketball. We'll start with the red division. We'll go boys and then girls, and then we will move into the white division and go in the same sequence. So starting with the boys, obviously win the red division. Grant obviously was absolutely phenomenal this year, undefeated at 10-0. Chip Hills finishing in that second spot. Reed City and Big Rapids both each split the third spot, 5-5 with a 1-1 record head-to-head. Reed City did have a one more overall win, so they would be technically in third place. Tri-County in fifth at 3-7. Newaygo 1-9. Jack, it was a big-time season for Grant, but a team we talked about as well. We talked to Coach Darnell on the show. Chip Hills really had an outstanding year.
Yeah, Coach Darnell did a great job this year with a group that really didn't pop out on a whole lot of papers or stat sheets last season. Comes in first year, just absolutely shows up and shows out. Phenomenal beginning to the season. A rough January and February, but really got back to things till the end of the year. This team had a tough district to go up against, but really Coach Darnell's got to be happy with where his team's at, and he's got a lot of players to show for it.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our all-conference honorees here. Let's start with our first teamers. Luke Grinnell of Chippewa Hills, a senior for the Warriors. Jack Swanson for the Grant Tigers. Both of them were number one. Maverick Chapman for the Warriors in his senior season's a first-teamer. Cole Heist, once again, first-teamer, multi-honoree there for Cole. Zayden Phillips, the talented senior and point scorer for the Tigers, is a first-teamer, as well as his teammates Blake Ryder and Cohen Obanoff, who, by the way, Obanoff is a junior. He'll be back next year. Payne Gogolowski, the standout for Reed City, picks up a first team honor, as well as Roan Johnston, the lone junior on this list for the Coyotes, and Coach Walsh as a first teamer. Honorable mentions go as follow. One for each team. For Chippewa Hills, it's Jackson Arntz, the senior, great defender this year. Big Rapids is Trenton Mossel. What an addition for Coach Thomas's team Trent was this year. Jack, you obviously followed them, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Austin Gregg, the big man for the Tigers, gets honorable mention tab as a junior for the Tigers. Trevor McNeese, the sophomore from Tri-County, what a big boost he provided on the second half stretch there for the Vikings to finish out the year. Miles Warmeister of Newaygo, the sophomore for the Lions, is tabbed, as well as a true freshman in Grayson Ween, who was moved up halfway through the year, is an honorable mention all-conference for Reed City. Jack out of this list, obviously 4 for the Grant Tigers, and deservedly so for what was an unbelievable season for them, as well as some other notable names like Cole Heist and Payne Gogolowski that have provided for their teams the last couple years.
Yeah, I think one thing to notice is Austin Gregg being on the honorable mention list. This is a guy who's most definitely has first-teamer talent, only being a junior, but obviously with the way the rules are, Grant's only able to get the 4 people on the first team, Austin Gregg being the honorable mention. But Grant just had such an incredible season. All 4 of those guys on the floor at any time, they were the best players on the floor, came together as a team, just the perfect lineup you could have.
Let's flip on over to the girls' side of hoops in the CSAA-Red. Once again, an undefeated champion, and once again, it's the Cardinals at 10-0. Newaygo follows up at 8-2. Reed City at the third slot with 6-4 overall record in conference play. Chippewa Hills finishes fourth at 4-6, and Tri-County and Grant split their meetings and finish at 1-9 apiece. So overall, another big-time win and conference title for Coach Heist, now 20-0 in our last 20 games in CSAA-Red. Tip of the cap. Pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. Such an incredible roster she has over there. You can see things on the Grant side of things and boys, and Big Rapids side of things on the girls. Those are just two teams who are so incredible at what they do.
Absolutely. And give a lot of credit to Newaygo and Reed City. Lost some big pieces from last year, but they still remained right into the thick of it, battling with the Cardinals for the second and third spots as well. So big hats off to them. And a lot of really good talent on those other three teams we'll talk about here in just a moment, as we'll take a look now. First team CSAA-Red for girls basketball and all conference honors. Maya Lathrop for Newaygo, a senior, draws first team honors, as well as her teammate and junior Ruby Hughes. Frankie Fall out of Chippewa Hills, a sophomore on this list, is a first teamer. Nolea Fricky and Neray Fricky as well, a junior sophomore sister tandem for the Cardinals. Madison Venix as well as Ava Pedigo, also sophomores on this team for the Cardinals. I mean, talk about a reload for next year. And then the very talented senior standout Morgan Hammond for Reed City, definitely the motor and the MVP of where that team was able to finish this year. Honorable mention list, one of her teammates for the Coyotes and Molly Carlson, who had a great year as a junior, especially defensively. Savannah Thompson, a very standout Viking squad player in her senior season, draws honorable mention. Gabrielle Arney of Newaygo, as well as Kira White of Chippewa Hills, a very underrated piece as well outside of Frankie Fall on that Warrior roster. Bryn Courtwright, the senior for the Cardinals, is an honorable mention, as well as Logan Hansen for that rejuvenated fountain of youth of a Grant Tiger team, draws honorable mention, as well as the lone freshman on either of these lists. Jack, overall thoughts? Big Rapids obviously gets the 4 nominations, and it's kind of scary just knowing they're all sophomores and juniors. They're all running it back next year, but especially you look at Lathrop, you look at Thompson, you look at White and Courtwright, all fabulous seniors for their respective squads that have great careers.
It's got to be Big Rapids. Only having 2 upperclassmen on the entire list of all conference, that's got to be scary. You said it. This is a team that's going to be ready and back for blood next season.
Now let's take a look over at the White division now. We will start with boys basketball. Central Montcalm almost undefeated in conference play. Molly Stanwood spoils the party. They finish in second at 6-2. Kent City also did some damage. The furthest team in the postseason out of all these teams at 5-3. Lakeview, with a resurgence the second half of the year, finishes 2-6 in conference play. White Cloud, with their young roster, 0-8 there in conference play. Overall, I think Jack, Central Montcalm was certainly the team to watch, but talk about Molly Stanwood and talk about Kent City. Both programs now, Coach Cummings for the Mohawks, they are able to score it, and Coach Boyd and their length and speed defensively, I think really was something that we didn't talk about a lot because they scored a lot, but their defense was really a big portion of why they ended up winning a district championship.
Yeah, Coach Boyd had such an incredible group, such a high energy team, ready to go play on both sides of the floor, and I can't wait to see what the Eagles do next year in rebuilding towards next year.
Yeah, and I really wish we could have saw the Hornets play for a district championship, but fortunately, that's just how sports goes at the end of the day. It's kind of a poker game. Depends on the hand you're dealt that given night. Let's take a look at the first team all-conference honorees. Speaking of Central Montcalm, talk about these two senior studs. You got Evan Ralston and Jamison Johns, both in their senior season, draw first-team honors. Quinn Garrett and Griffin Babbitt for the Mohawks in their junior and senior seasons. Aaron Vanderwest, the very talented senior, and I think now all-time point scorer for the Eagles. Congratulations to him. Brady Strait for White Cloud also draws first-team honors as a sophomore, the lone underclassman on this list. And Isaiah Stuhan of Kent City in his junior season finishes as a first-teamer. Let's take a look now at honorable mentions. For the Hornets, for Coach Ingalls, that is Shea Ingalls, rather, Zane Cooper, a senior standout, wearing number 5 this year. He is an honorable mention. Justin Anderson, the sharpshooter for the Eagles, is also an honorable mention. Carter Bristol, talk about a guy that really provided down the stretch for this Lakeview Wildcat squad as a junior. Dylan Vining, I mean, talk about a glue guy as well, a scrapper, scored in a lot of different ways, got a lot of rebounds as a senior. He's rewarded as well as Dawson Van Dorn of White Cloud, a junior, and honorable mention for Coach Jones and the Indians. Overall, Jack, pretty split across the board just in terms of the alignment, and I think you really looked at a lot of these rosters were kind of too heavy in terms of point scoring and defensively, and pretty much all those tandems were on these two lists.
Yeah, I think this went right on the head. Everybody who made this list deserved to be on this list. This first team, those are the best guys in this conference. You talk about a guy like Evan Rolston, one of the best players in the white and red combined. He had such an incredible season with Central Montcalm. You toss Jameson Johns and Zane Cooper. Those 3 guys for Central Montcalm led to so much success this season. But going back to it, all these guys on this first team all deserve to be in this honorable mention list. They hit this one right on the nail.
100%. And we look forward to those juniors and for Brady Street as well, a sophomore returning for next year's squad. Let's flip on over now to the girls division. We will now look at the standings finishing up. Morley Stanwood takes 2 against Kent City and takes 2 against everybody else. They finish 8-0. Kent City with the 2 losses to Morley Stanwood finish 6-2. Montcalm square down the middle at 4-4 in the 3rd spot. White Cloud at 2-6 in the 4th slot. Lakeview without a conference win this last year in 8 tries. Looking at the first team honorees, looking at Taylor Thunhoff there of Central Montcalm is a freshman in the first teamer. Congratulations to her. And now maybe we're looking forward to 4 honorees. Maybe we'll have to wait and see what the Hornets have in store. Annie Vincent for White Cloud is a sophomore, as well as Lainey Bongard, a sophomore from Morley Stanwood. All draw first team honors. Lainey Hoffman and Kenzie Freeland, an upperclassman tandem for Kent City first team, as well as Sage Osaski and Caitlin Nara as well for Morley Stanwood. And Coach Raven's squad that unfortunately just had their season come to an end last night as we're recording this in the quarterfinal. Job well done for that Mohawk squad for representing the CSAA. Honorable mentions, Ellie Hansen of Kent City. The Eagles honoree is a junior. Alexis Martin for Morley Stanwood in her senior season is given honorable mention honors. Braylon Bunting of Central Montcalm in her senior season also drops an honorable mention tab. Aubrey Vincent, a freshman for White Cloud. Very excited to see what that squad has next year. And Caitlin Buckner of Lakeview in her senior season is an honorable mention. Jack, thoughts on this list? Obviously, Morley Stanwood, Kent City heavily leading the way, but some of those other teams as well have some young talent that if they develop could be really good names to watch for next year.
Yeah, Morley Stanwood losing a couple seniors. They also had Laney Bongard on this list, who's only a sophomore. This is a team that's going to be able to bring talent back, and we know how good Coach Raven is. He has such ability to compete with the roster he has in front of him. This was an amazing Mohawk team. Can't wait to see what they do next year.
Now it's time to take a look at our Blue Division wrestling results. And obviously, this is a compiled list and really kind of highlighting the boys. We obviously give a big shout out to the girls that were competing this year. We didn't necessarily get a list from them, but we'll be continuing to highlight them as we can. And by the way, if you want to read all of these lists in compilation online, Big Rapids Daily News, we got you covered if you want to take a look at all these lists again. So you don't have to re-listen to us 10,000 times. Let's take a look at the Blue Division final team standings. It's Kent City for the title, state ranked and continue to compete well all year long at 8-0. Tri-County comes up in the runner-up spot at 7-1. Central Montcalm in third at 6-2, followed by Reed City at 5-3. Lakeview at 4-4, a little down year there for the Wildcats. Chip Hills as a team finishes 2-6. Big Rapids the same, Grant the same, and Newaygo at 0-8. Your top 9 throughout the board. And Jack, we talked Lakeview obviously was a dominant member of this conference last year, lost a lot of pieces, and now we kind of saw that come to fruition. But Kent City and Tri-County, both teams that were really had a lot of eyes on them going into the preseason for what they're bringing back, and they executed. And those are the 2 top teams, no doubt about it, throughout this year.
Yeah, Kent City had such an incredible season. Dylan Russo out of the 106 being one of the best wrestlers in the conference and really the entire area. You toss in a guy like Sam Kick. Those 2 guys, amazing. Even Sammy Anderson, those are 3 guys just to highlight. This Kent City team from every single weight class was great all season long.
Absolutely. We'll now take a look at the all-conference honorees, and each weight class was given 3 in a row, that being the top 3 in finishing of the conference. We'll highlight just the champions. If you want to read all of those, you can obviously go online, as just mentioned, BigRapidsDailyNews.com. Jack, you mentioned it. King of 106 was Dylan Russo this year for Kent City. In 113, it was Aiden Pohl for Tri-County. The Viking squad, his teammate, Jordan Comprinari, as well for Tri-County in the 120 weight class, was a champion this year. Sammy Anderson for the Eagles at 126 was the CSA champion. Damon Langworthy at the 132 weight class for Coach Stieg and the Coyotes this year out of Reed City. Adam Hunter for Kent City takes the crown at 138. At 144, it is Chippewa Hills' own Jake Edwards for Coach Vogel. He takes home the 144 crown, as well as his teammate Carson Humphrey at 150 for the Warriors brings home an individual championship. Bryce Seltzer for the Cardinals right in our neck of the woods at 157 in his talented season. Tristan Van Timmeren of Tri-County at 165 there for the Vikings as the champion. Blake Carr at 175 weight class for the Eagles is the individual champion. Austin Brandt as the Cardinals for Big Rapids, the second individual champion there at 190. Trey Zerba of Central Montcalm, one of the only Hornet squad members on these lists, is an individual champion, but they did get a lot of runner-up spots, and this one being at 215. And then Braden Town for the Warriors, individual champion at the heavyweight at 285. Jack, any thoughts about these lists? Obviously, Kent City, Tri-County holding their own, but as I've just mentioned, Central Montcalm really did a great job in depth because they had guys placing all throughout all the weight classes, whether it's first, second, or third, even Reed City as well.
Yeah, Central Macomb had a lot of guys end up placing. I already talked about Kent City. I named a few of them, but they just had so many champions at every single weight class. You talk about a guy like Adam Hunter, just such a great season. Big Rapids even sneaking a couple of those guys in. Just an amazing wrestling season.
Absolutely. A lot of great success as well. You talk about for Kent City and Central Macomb teams that went far in the postseason as well. Now it's time to take a look at bowling, but first, big thanks to RivalsMI.com. If you want to support your team of choice that we've mentioned here on the show, alternate logo designs and more online, RivalsMI.com. Free shipping over $50 orders. Once again, RivalsMI.com. Now we'll take a look at boys and girls bowling this last year, tearing it up in the lanes this year. We'll start on the boys side for the team results. It was a successful year for the Warriors at 6-0. Kent City follows up 5-1 overall. Central Macomb 3-2 with a tie with Big Rapids, who finished in fourth at 2-3-1. Lakeview and Tri-County as teams round out at 5 and 5th and 6th, I should say. 1-5 for Lakeview, 0-6 for Tri-County. First team honoree bowlers this year out of the CSAA-Blue boys. Zane Wiles for Kent City, his teammate Jada Morales as a junior for the Eagles. Bodie Hatter for Chippewa Hills, a senior, alongside his teammates Ashton Richards and Cass Cogswell for the Warriors as well. Those guys will be coming back next year, just to be on the lookout for that. Carter Smalley for the Cardinals in his senior season. Bryce Gunderman Lake for Lakeview, the lone Wildcat as a first-teamer. Vaughn Veltman, the talented quarterback, also draws first-team honors as a junior. Jamison Posey for Central Macomb in his senior season, and Caleb Balcombe of Central Macomb, his Hornet teammate, as a sophomore, first-team honors. Looking at honorable mentions, a lot of Eagles and a lot of Coyotes on this list for Reed City. Jacob Taylor, Matt Vanderhoof, and David Shannon, all of them coming back next year as juniors. Julian Witt as a senior for Kent City, followed up by a freshman teammate in Corbin Rogers. Overall, Jack, looking Chippewa Hills really just edged out Kent City for that title in that one head-to-head matchup, but both these teams were great. And I think Big Rapids as well has got a lot to look forward to as well. Not necessarily as many names on this list, but still some guys that are up and coming, and that program still starting to get built. Central Macomb as well, seen a lot of underclassmen on this list.
Yeah, Kent City and Chippewa Hills established themselves as contenders inside the conference, and they're going to bring back some talent next year. Kent City bringing back Jaden Morales, and then a couple guys down there with Corbin Rogers being the freshman. Kent City is going to be a dangerous team to watch next season bowling.
Absolutely, and especially Chip Hills will be the team to watch at the top of the table because of the fact they won with not a lot of seniors leaving. So that'll be one key nil. Let's flip on over now to the girls' side, looking at the final team standings. It is Kent City with the victory. They are 6-0 in undefeated play. Congrats to the Eagles. Reed City follows up in second place as a team at 5-1. A whole slew of 500 teams right behind in third, fourth, and fifth for the Cardinals, as well as the Warriors and the Wildcats. Then you have Tri-County at 1-5, and then Central Macomb at 0-6. The list goes as follows. Brindley Skaggs, a senior for Lakeview. Grace Engelsman as well for the Lakeview Wildcats, a junior, and her teammate. Lila Larson for Kent City, a senior first teamer. Bailey Soper Brigner for Chippewa Hills in her senior season. Abby Lundwall as a junior for Big Rapids. Hannah Ho for Chippewa Hills as a senior. Charity Rogers and Emma Davis, a junior tandem for Reed City. Sienna Larson for Kent City in her senior season, a first teamer. And Katie Engelsman, a freshman for Lakeview. In the honorable mention slots for Kent City and Reed City, ironically, once again, Maddie Mitchell and Sarah Beth Lowe for Kent City, a senior pairing, as well as Maya Simon and Carly Eager for Reed City and Kent City, respectively. The lone Wildcat, as an honorable mention, is senior Ariana Sadler. Jack, thoughts overall on the girls for CSAA Blue bowling?
Kent City 6-0, but they're losing all 5 seniors that made the all-conference list. How can they react next season? And it's going to be something interesting to watch, losing all 5 of those.
You're absolutely right. That is the number one exclamation point in circle going into next year. So Reed City, Big Rapids, here we go. This is going to be something really fun to watch for next year. Now, finally, we've made it to our final sport. That would be competitive cheer in the blue division. We obviously have the team results for you. In first place, it was the Vikings of Tri-County as your individual and team CSAA champions. Newaygo in second, their M37 rival mate in Grant in third. Then Big Rapids and Chip Hills finished tied for fourth. Heard they played rock, paper, scissors for fourth and fifth, but we didn't hear who won. So those teams will remain a tie, but the Vikings overall get the victory. Now let's take a look at your 20 honorable mention and first teamers for the CSAA Blue. Brianna Cheatham for Tri-County, as well as Violet Bellamy, Courtney Fisk, Madeline Ringler, and Lily Keppel for Tri-County. Those all 5 Vikings honorees. Then for Newaygo, they have 3 in Lydia Graham-LeMange, Marilyn Guzman-Gavina, as well as Aaliyah Buckner, all of them underclassmen or returners for next season. Grant has Katarina Ferrari as well as Luella Higgins, both juniors that'll return next year to the competitive cheer mat. Jackie Escobar and Noriana Hansen for the Cardinals, sophomores that'll return next year. For Chippewa Hills, their lone representative first teamers Hannah Corral, and for Grant, Tri-County, it is Isabel Vander Zowen. Hopefully I said that right, as a freshman. And for Newaygo as well, Keely Verhoy, a first team honor this year. Looking at the honorable mentions for the 5, Zola Root, a sophomore for the Cardinals, is an honorable mention. Jaslyn Good for Chippewa Hills, also on the list. Addison Herman for Grant is a senior. Congratulations on an honorable mention honoree. Sophia Souden of Tri-County, and then Kelly Jo Gradert for Newaygo, all honorable mentions this year. Jack, overall, Tri-County upsets the party in the M37 rivalry. Hats off to the Vikings on a very good competitive cheer season.
Yeah, Tri-County did a great job losing 2 seniors. They're going to bring back 3 girls, though, that were first team all-conference. There's not a lot of seniors that made this list, and that's an interesting thing to watch next year, with there only being the 3 seniors on this entire list as a whole, including honorable mentions.
Absolutely. And a lot of the competitive cheer is starting to be built in the area. So a lot of underclassmen to fill rosters that have been good. So you would expect that the quality is going to be better over the next couple of seasons. Be certainly something that'll be fun to watch. That's going to conclude our CSA wrap up here for the winter sports season. We'll obviously be getting you out with baseball, softball coverage, as well as other spring sports previews coming up on the rundown here for the next couple of weeks and months. And Jack, we finally made it. And hopefully everybody enjoys their spring break, get outside and soak the sun. And if you're planning to go to a place where there is sun, do us a favor, pack in your suitcase and bring it back, because we don't need the snow no more.
No, we don't. I can't wait for spring season. Baseball and softball, 2 phenomenal sports, one of my favorite sports times of the year.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Dazos Digital. If your business is struggling to get a grip on digital advertising, trust the experts at DazosDigital.com. Big thanks to all of our other sponsors. And thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe on Big Rapids Daily News on YouTube, as well as you can tune in every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. on News Radio WBRN, so you don't miss out on these episodes. Jack, any last thoughts before spring break?
I mean, it's going to be a great week, going to be a great weekend of sports. Cannot wait for baseball and softball to get kicked off.
Absolutely. That's going to conclude our episode. For Jack Heckman, Brandon Wirtz saying so long. We'll talk to you next week right here on the Rundown on WBRN.